Thank you for tuning in to Spicy Toast Gaming. Today we're going to be talking about the most recent expansion, kind of a final thoughts video after playing it for a decent amount of time. Also, we will be ranking the new champions on a tier list, or where we think they would go on a tier list. If you guys are enjoying this Path of Champions content, definitely like and subscribe, and let's get into it. So first up, let's talk about the Event Pass. Bit of mixed feelings here for the Event Pass. Some really good things in regards to Path of Champions. There's a lot of Path of Champions content in here. There's a lot of relics. There's a decent amount of reliquaries, a lot of fragments, and they also added straight up wild fragments. Now, the one issue is everything relating to Path of Champions is on the premium tier other than the very, very beginning. So you can get the 30 fragments for Samira for free. I believe every other piece of content on here relating to Path of Champions, though, is on the premium tier. So that is a little disappointing. So if you don't buy the premium pass, really you're not getting that much. Definitely disappointing there for anyone that can't afford to get the event pass. But if you can get the event pass, there was more content in here for Path of Champions than ever before, including straight up relics, two of which are really good, the Stalker's Blade as well as the Chemtech Duplicator. Now there is obviously that issue with the Duplicator where if you already have one, you claim this one. If you try to equip both, the game deletes your second one. That is pretty annoying. Riot is aware of it. They are currently working on fixing it. Hopefully, they're going to give everyone their Duplicator back. If they don't, then it's going to be a massive problem. I think Riot will do whatever they can to try to make sure that that does happen, because they know how much of an issue it's going to be if they don't give people that duplicator. But as far as the event pass goes, great to see a lot of shards, relics, and just Path of Champions content in here. Very nice, really helps you level up your champions. Also, the fact that they just added 3 champions is definitely a bit better, because now there's actually fragments in here for every single champion, whereas normally they only would put in fragments for like 3 of the 6 champions they added. So if you wanted to play one of the champions that wasn't one of those 3, you were kind of out of luck as far as getting extra fragments. So the event pass, in general, pretty good. Great for a Path of Champions player if you can afford it. Definitely annoying that there is almost no good free content for Path of Champions, though, other than the very beginning. You see here, it's constantly just all these chests. But if you're a Path of Champions only player, you don't care about these chests. You only care about the shards or fragments. So you see here, all the free stuff you can get, they're all just chests that do not help you if you only play Path of Champions. Now, for what we did get specifically for Path of Champions, the monthly challenge, a lot of fun, really enjoying it. I understand that a lot of people are annoyed that there's not any reward, and I do think they should have put some reward in there and just said, hey, this is a temporary reward, like here's even like 10 wild fragments or something even small for completing it. They're like, here's something, this is going to be changed in the future, but for right now, here's a small something that you can get. I understand not wanting to put too many rewards behind it immediately. Yeah, I feel like they should have put something, but the monthly challenges are quite fun. I love how they're actually 70 small adventures instead of just one like massive adventure that I kind of thought they were going to do. Again, I haven't completed them, but so far I've only heard good things, and I've enjoyed my experience with them much more than I thought I would. For the new champions, now we did only get 3. I know some people are a little annoyed at that. Me personally, I think that was the right direction to go. In the past couple expansions, we've been getting pretty much every time 6 champions, and normally about 3 of them would be bugged, broken, or just completely poorly designed. I said this is not really acceptable. You should just focus on releasing like less champions, but have each one be really well designed. And that's what they've done. We have Samira, Set, and Jack. I have all of them at 3 stars and around level 25. I think every one of these is a well-designed champion with their own strengths and very unique playstyles. Also, all of their decks are very unique, using a lot of the new cards. Love to see that. So annoyed with getting decks that have like 3 or more cards that are already in other decks, or someone like Nasus where half of his deck is support followers for other champions. Like, again, If we look at Nasus, he has Renekton support cards, Talia support cards, Zillion support cards, Sivir support cards. He only has like 2 cards that actually were part of his support deck. Really annoying to see that. But with all of these, they all have their starting deck is the cards that specifically came and were meant to go with them. Great to see that. And then some of the other cards that didn't quite fit with their support package, like Coastal Defender, it is nice that this is a card that I don't think we have in anyone else's deck. So even though I'm not a huge fan of this card, I'm just happy we have a new card that we haven't seen in other people's deck. Really was getting sick of seeing the same cards over and over again. So each one has a well-made deck, great star powers, and they are all very strong champions. So while I know some people are annoyed with the fact that we only got 3, we did just get 2 champions like a month before this expansion hit. And if we get less champions, but everyone is well designed and plays well, I personally take that as a win. All right, to finish off the video, let's do a bit of a mini tier list, or just where we think these would go in our rankings. Now, bear in mind that if you watch my previous tier list, that was a max level tier list. I don't have any of these at max level. The highest one I have is Jax at 26. So this isn't a max level tier list. It's just going to be more of kind of your average tier list, since none of these characters are maxed out. For Jack, like all the champions, very strong, massive amounts of removal. I will say he, and honestly all of the expansions, or all of the champions of this expansion, feel like they need their 3-star before they really shine. But I would think I would put Jack as a solid B tier, but I would say like high B tier, getting close to the A, but probably just about the top of B tier in my opinion. Taking a look at Samira now, I think she's probably my favorite. Really like her playstyle, as there's a lot you're trying to think about. You're trying to get 3 cards played every single round. You're trying to trigger her rally, and also trying to get your Nexus damage down every single round as well for a lot of your cards. I think she has the best implementation of Plunder that we've ever seen. Very strong, but so far from what I've played with her, I think she can be a little inconsistent, especially because her level up. Sometimes if you start with the attack token, or if the enemy starts with attack token and then your level up resets, that can really be a big hindrance, because it might delay your rally for another round, which as the game goes on longer and longer, you're more likely to lose the lead and let the enemy catch up. You are very much a early game deck, and while you do have good scaling, you can normally get outscaled by the enemy opponent. So while I think she's pretty good, at the moment I think I'd probably put her in the A tier. Now I do need to play her a bit more in the future. I could see myself putting her in the S tier with the likes of Teemo, Jax, Diana, but for me personally, she's not quite there yet. So top of A tier, not quite in the S tier, but if someone else put her in the S tier, I would not argue that point at all. I just think she's not quite there for me yet. But again, very strong champion, definitely early game and aggressive focus. I would say she's probably the strongest out of these 3, but honestly, all 3 of these champions are very strong, especially in their own ways. Lastly, let's take a look at Sett. Now, he is very much a later game champion, and also quite reliant on his 3rd star power, being able to give your units that 2/2 permanent buff, just from the 1/1 every time you play 6 mana. That itself is huge, but then also being able to rally, really strong effects there. And he's actually an interesting one. I'm not really comfortable putting him in a specific tier, because it really depends on what your opponent is. If you're able to have your game go a little bit longer in certain adventures or monthly challenges, I would throw him in the A tier. But if you're trying to do something like Aurelion Sol that really punishes you the longer you go on, I think Sett is more of a B tier champion. You are much less consistent just because how much Aurelion Sol punishes you. So while I enjoy playing Sett, and while he has insane levels of power in the late game, he can just get destroyed in the early game, especially against some of those tougher opponents. So for me, his placement really changes. If you're able to consistently get to that late game and you're not going to get super punished for it, I would say he's an A tier champion. So in your monthly challenges, he's going to be a wonderful pick, especially if there's any modifiers that help you get to your late game earlier. He's going to be absolutely incredible. But if you're going up against like Aurelion Sol or some of these other opponents that really punish you for not ending the game quickly, then I would say he's more of a B tier champion. Overall though, all three of the champions we got, they are very well designed, which is more important to me, but then they're also very, very strong. All definitely B tier and above. For me, I just like the champions being well designed though. Like, I think Kindred is a great design champion, but she's more like the bottom of B tier in my opinion. Great design, interesting play style, but that doesn't mean necessarily powerful. So even though all the champions we got are very strong, personally that's not why I am the most excited about them. That's great, always fun playing a strong champion, but I prefer that to just have a well-designed deck and star powers. Like, Nasus could be the strongest champion in the game. I still would not like his design, as it's just terrible in my opinion, but big shout out to Riot for giving us less champions, but making them all much stronger and just better designed than what we've had previously. That's about it for the roundup of this expansion. Little disappointing that we haven't gotten any relic crafting or relic shop situation. I think they know that that's an issue though. That's why they gave us so many reliquaries in the different event quests and event pass, as well as flat out just giving us certain relics in the event pass as well. So I do believe they know that's an issue. Obviously, most of their development time is going towards the monthly challenges, so hopefully we can see the relic shop or relic crafting in the near future. If you enjoyed the video, definitely like and subscribe. Comment down below your thoughts on this expansion, and I hope you all have a great day.